This is one of the most disturbing cases in Australian history. But what makes it even more unsettling is how normal it all seemed at first. A quiet village, a single house, far from everyone else, and a family that no one thought it was in danger. Until one morning, a couple drove up to that house and saw something lying on the ground. And in that moment, everything in their life has changed. February 22nd, 1993. In a small village called Greenock, Australia, a couple is driving down a quiet road on their way to visit a close friend, Karen Mackenzie. Karen lives alone with her three kids in a house that's pretty isolated, surrounded by farmland, far from neighbors, the kind of place where at night it's just darkness and silence. The couple arrives there. As they pull up, something feels off. There is something on the ground, right in front of the house. At first, they think it's a prank or maybe a trash or an animal. The man steps out of the car and slowly, carefully, he walks closer and then he freezes. It was not trash. It was the body of Danielle, Karen's 16-year-old son, lying there covered in blood. The man can't move, he can't speak, until finally he calls out his wife, and in horror of the view, she starts screaming, "Call the police." They don't go inside, they ran away, they drive off to get help. That decision may have saved their lives, because at that moment they had no idea what was waiting for them inside. People in the area knew Karen and the kids. In a place like this, everyone knows everyone, and Karen had a reputation for being kind, helpful, someone who didn't really cause troubles. But her life hadn't always been easy. She had relationships that didn't really last that much. The father of her first child, Danielle, was never really part of the picture. They didn't live much together. Later, she got involved with another man, Andrew. They had two daughters together, Amara and Catherine, but the relationship didn't really last either. There were arguments, instability, and eventually they broke up and she found herself alone again. So she made a decision that she is no more dependent on anyone. She was going to raise her kids on her own and by herself. Karen moved to Greenock to start over, rented a simple wooden house far from everything, and brought her family back together. So Danielle was living with his grandmother, and he agreed to live with her again. And for the first time in a long time, things felt stable somehow. Neighbors later said they saw them together often, laughing, helping each other, living a normal life, as every happy family does. She was trying to fix everything, but there were also rumors. Some people believed she had connections to people with bad reputation, you can say. Nothing confirmed, but enough to matter later. Still, no one knew that Karen's dream of building a future to her kids and living a better life ends when her name, along with her kids, is present in every media outlet for the most horrific massacre. And living a better life ends and her name, along with her children, is present on every media outlet for the most horrific massacre in the city's history. When police arrived, they already knew this wasn't normal. A teenager dead outside his own home in a place like this. It usually means something worse. Officers approached carefully, weapons drawn, moving slowly toward the house. They didn't know if the attacker was still there. They forced their way in and began searching. At first, there was only silence, then signs of struggle at the house, furniture out of the place, blood on the floor, and then they found Karen. She had been attacked violently, but it didn't stop there. They continued through the house, room by room, step by step, until they reached the children's room. And what they found was something they would never forget. Amara, 7 years old, and Catherine, just 5, both of them had been killed. Now, it was clear this wasn't just a murder. This was a massacre. A mother and all 3 of her children are gone. One thing investigators immediately noticed was the level of violence. This wasn't quick. This wasn't controlled. It was chaotic. There were far more injuries than necessary, which told them something very important. This was personal, emotional, not random. And the way the crime unfolded suggested it happened in stages, which meant there were moments where it could have stopped, but unfortunately it didn't. That made it even more disturbing. The house was sealed off. Investigators began collecting evidence, fingerprints, footprints, and even fibers. One key discovery was a palm print on a wall. Using iodine fumin, they made it visible and even cut the wall to preserve it. Then there was something unusual, a greasy substance on a door. It turned out to be similar to a hand cream, and it didn't come from the house, which meant the killer brought it in. Meanwhile, suspects were being identified friends, ex partners, people from that night, and one name kept coming up Bill Mitchell, 24 years old. But to understand what really happened there, you have to understand him. People who knew Bill described him as an unstable man, heavy drug user. He drinks a lot, unpredictable behavior, and sometimes quiet, sometimes intense. And when it comes to women, he could become obsessive. That night at the gathering, he was watching Karen closely, not casually but constantly, as if he's stalking her. When he tried to get close to her, she rejected him in front of everyone. And that really disturbed him, and something has really changed. Witnesses said his mood shifted and he became quiet but tense, like he was holding something in. Rejection can trigger anger, and in unstable individuals, anger can escalate quickly, especially with drugs and alcohol involved. Investigators believe that that's exactly what happened. Later, he went to her house and everything escalated from there. After the crime, his behavior became even more suspicious. He didn't run, he stayed nearby, watched the investigation go on, and even talked about it. So now you can see how unstable he is. Then one day he showed up covered in blood, telling a story about being attacked, but it didn't make sense, as you know. And eventually he admitted it was a lie. That's when police knew they were getting closer. Forensic results came back, fingerprints matched, and evidence lined up. They brought him back again, and this time he confessed. Calmly and coldly, he described everything: attacking Danielle outside, going inside, killing Karen, then the 2 little girls. No clear motive, just anger, rejection, and loss of control. In court, the atmosphere was heavy. People filled the room. Some had known Karen, some had seen her children, and now they were hearing what happened. Even with limited details, it was enough. People reacted: shock, disbelief. Some couldn't look, others couldn't look away. And Bill showed almost no emotion. That made everything worse. The judge called it as one of the worst crimes he had ever seen. Bill Mitchell was sentenced to life prison, but then came the shock that he could be eligible for release after 20 years. People were outraged, media exploded, and debate started. Was that justice, or was it never enough? And maybe that's the part of this story that stays with people the longest. Not just what happened inside the house, but what came after. Because no sentence, no number of years, no courtroom decision can ever match what was taken away that night. A mother trying to rebuild her life, a teenage boy who had just came home, and 2 little girls who had never got the chance to grow up. All of it was gone in one night because of one moment of anger that turned into something irreversible. And that house of Greenough didn't just become a crime scene, it became a reminder of how quickly normal can disappear. how danger doesn't always look like danger, and how sometimes the worst thing don't come from strangers in the dark, but from people already there, watching and waiting and slowly losing control. Even now, years later, people still ask, how well do we really know the people around us? And if something like this could happen there in a quiet place to a family that thought they were finally safe, then where could it happen next? So tonight, when everything feels calm, just remember, sometimes that's exactly how it starts.